All right. Okay. Episode 25? I don't remember. Ironsworn Starforged. Vaults of Vaarn, where we have Matala and Ardell on the outskirts of a ruined settlement where called Welcome To. This settlement is the location of the library in which they were seeking. And the short version is that this has become an important sort of spearhead for both Matala and Ardell in this moment. Matala wants to help Ardell find his strength, his confidence back, and by doing so, she's going to try to find parts and supplies to fix his non-functional the oh my lord, the non-functional protocol bot interface piece. And Ardell is here in this settlement area to try to find this library that should have a copy of a book. It's entitled it was a book to, let's see here, book on linguistics for contacting Azathoth. And I think in this point in the story, he does not know what Azathoth is, just that it was important to this science mystic by the name of Lurch, of which he cares little about anymore, but wanted to find this book anyway, seeing as it was going to be important for this one person. It could be important for him, and maybe he can learn something along the way to help him, on his overall goal of trying to leave this planet. Maybe take this info back to that first crash starship that he had found, of which I forgot the name of. That was called the, let's see. Huh. Oh man, what was this? What was this location called? They called themselves the Royal Signet. Yes, the Royal Signet was the name of the ship. So maybe those guys will be able to help him decipher the information. You can notice a little bit of format change. I wanted to try to keep the focus on my new sort of exploration map here, and of which I wanted to create a progress bar as well. So this is going to be explore, welcome to, and that is my dog Harvey in the background sleeping. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so I think this particular region, I did label as a large city. or large ruined settlement rather. And I think I'm going to give it a formidable rank, which I believe, again, I never ever remember. That is one thing about this system. I think I've mentioned this before. Troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, and epic. While thematic in their tone, I swap up formidable and dangerous all the time. So yeah, so I'm gonna mark it as a formidable expedition. Explore, welcome to. Explore, well, welcome to. That's the you know, and I'm gonna mark it as 1 box per progress. Formidable. And each time that we make progress, I'll be able to check off that box. So we're going to give it a rank here, and let us try to. And right now, they are on foot as they explore this area, and the hover bike is currently here. So I'm going to write, you may not be able to see it up in the top up here, but I'm going to write hover bike at sign. Okay. So we are going to do a undertake an expedition move. When you trailblaze through a route through and journey over hazardous terrain or survey a mysterious site. So we're surveying Welcome to, and our party can move at speed. They can keep under the radar, or they can stay vigilant. Either one. I think the party can do either of these relatively at ease. Both of my characters seem to be good in one or some of them. But seeing as their supplies are low, I think I'm going to keep it at a wits roll, staying vigilant. So sort of keeping an eye out for things, keeping an eye out for supplies, keeping an eye out for unexpected company, stuff like that. And I have my cards for my characters up there. And I am going to use a separate book. I'm going to keep my moves and stuff in here, but I'm going to use the oracles from the Starsmith Expanded Oracles stuff by Eric Bright. I went over this at the end of the last session. And I'm going to use the let's see. I'm going to use the districts. These are new to Starforged with this book. This Expanded Oracles by this third-party individual, Eric Bright, had a whole new section called districts. It's intended to fill the space for like inhabited towns and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as the area and the features and stuff, and also roll on the theme as well, depending on the various things. So I'm going to do ruined 76. Where is it? Ruined Where's ruined? Oops. There it is. So I'm going to use this table and also the districts table for the for my generation of things, and that'll be off to the side. So for the most part, everything is going to be off to the side. And yeah, all right. So the focus is what I'm going to be doing here mechanically is each time they go to somewhere new, that'll be a new section or area of the waypoints through their progression. So hopefully there might be up to at least 10 more locations to explore in addition to this library hex. So what I want to do is sort of populate the library. So we know that that's one of the features in this town. So let's see what sort of theme of the ruined aspect of this is going to be. So I'm going to roll a D100 here. Don't need this D8 anymore. Let's roll that. And 82 on the feature for the ruined is signs of looting or scavenging. Okay, so it is ruined plus signs of scavenging. Okay. So this is like the theme, and there's the library there. And so I think as Ardell and like Matala with their backpacks arrive at the base of this library, and the walls of it seem pretty well worn down. The only entryway that they can find is a window, very near to the roof, where there's a rise in the dunes. And so they're going to go into the library, and they're going to sort of try to find that book. So though this is an important location for the story, narratively speaking, the exploration part of this is, I would like this to be their starting point, and fully populated and complete, before they explore more of the settlement of Welcome To. So I think what they're going to do here is they're really just going to, I think Matala and Ardell are going to straight up gather information, and they are trying to conduct an investigation, trying to find that book that was told that it would be here. So let us do that. I think it's going to be with wits. I think Ardell is going to be the preferred person to do this. All right, so that is a 3 and a 2 on the challenge die, and a 5. Oops, that was a 5. 5 plus his wits, which is 3. So on a hit, that's successful. So he on a strong hit, rather, you discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you learn, then take +2 momentum. Okay. So I think what that means for him is his momentum goes from 4 to 6. And I think they're in the library, and they have their little headlamps on, and it's all dusty and filled with like this blue haze filtering down from the daylight that is coming out from the windows from the upper levels. and they sort of kind of spelunk down into the side of this building and see that alongside the outside portion of this ruined section of the library hex that they're in, inside the library also appears to have had signs of people in it already. There seems to be a makeshift and very old but sort of just worn out campsite at the base of where they entered. It seems like this was not a uncommon place to come into to loot. I'm gonna see, because libraries aren't usually looted for the books. It's usually looted for special items and stuff like that. So I'm going to roll on the Oracle and say it's unlikely, but does it appear to be like were any of the books stole, like taken away? Like, are there obvious loss of books in the shelves that they see currently in this first sort of room? I'm going to say it's unlikely, or rather, I'm going to say it's likely here because it's the first room. So 75 or less. Okay, so yeah, 13. So definitely. So I'm thinking, honestly, that the campsite that they come upon in this large atrium-style section of this large library, there are torn sheets and torn books that are next to the library, some with burned pages and stuff. So they obviously used whoever was here previously obviously used the books as kindling and as a fire starter. And I think as Ardell sees that, his heart skips a bit and he goes, I really hope that book isn't in there. So he starts to cursory look through the titles of these books and stuff, but none of them are anything of note. And all just seem to be kind of, nonsense words to him. And some of them don't seem to even be written in the same language as the sign outside or the library words on the building. So this must be a different language altogether. He doesn't really understand it. So then he goes in deeper, and he sees a sort of a smaller doorway with words above it that he doesn't understand, but underneath it says, library especial, and he says that, well, that looks like the word special, I think. So I think we'll go there. And in that room, and this is going off of that dice roll of he found the way to find something specific. So I think he knows that there's a special room area for like special books and stuff. But what I would like to do is roll on this a table on what is actually here. So I think I'm going to it is not floated, Fleming. All right. This is definitely, I need the districts again. I think this is going to be in a research area type of role. Oops, 31. Feature. Okay, so there's some sort of database here. Okay, so there is some sort of database, probably is it accessible to the party? I'll say 50-50. I don't know. Like, it could be on some sort of computer terminal. Don't know if that'll be something that they can access or not, but I'll say its analog is 1 to 50, and digital is 51 or higher. 37. So it's analog. So there's an analog database. There's probably like a large cabinet with index size card shelving in drawers and things like that, with lots of names of books and authors and things like that. We know it here on this planet as the Dewey Decimal System, but I think Ardell thumbs through the various archives and continues to get more information, and he asks Matala to look at the other shelving unit, and so they're going to probably going to continue to gather information, and I don't think so there. I think this is going to be more, they're going to explore this particular waypoint. I think that's going to be more of what the move is here, because they are not in this waypoint, they're in this one, so they're going to explore this waypoint a lot. So we're going to roll probably plus wits here, which, well, that is exploring a waypoint. Ardell and Matala fan out into the various rooms looking for the books that they are searching for, that have the various keywords on those index cards, with the various authors and titles of names and stuff. Titles that have the word Azathoth on them, or Titan, or anything that looks unique and different. So that's what they're doing. So we'll let us roll. Okay, a 4 and a 2 and a 6 on the challenge die, and a 4 plus a 3 on Ardell's wits. That makes that a strong hit. A strong hit on this examination of this notable location. They can gain progress on finding the book, or they can find an opportunity and take +1 momentum. I think he wants to gain progress, so he's going to mark progress on the expedition per rank. So I'm going to mark that as part of this progress as well, because this is part of exploring the city, and also exploring, or the finding the book on the linguistics book. And because of his lore hunter path, he gains, I think it's a plus, he gains a +1 +2 momentum. Okay, so he was at 6, he goes to 8 now. Again, he goes up pretty fast when it comes to finding items and exploring actual locations. So I think what happens here is, so they find a book that has a reference to something that looks interesting, because as it stands here, they're only halfway there to finding the actual book. Now I could adjust this, of course. That's the one great thing about this system, and about, well, solo play in general, is that if it feels narratively that it makes sense that you find the item or you reach your destination before the set quest, because when you set the dangerous scale, the rank of the vow or the track, you really don't know how long it's going to take. And that's one thing I think it takes practice to get a hold of, is when you set ranks for your various things in Starforged, in Ironsworn, and Sundered Isles, is that you'll become more practiced engaging how long certain things could take / should take, and then if you need to adjust that on the fly, just do it. But narratively, I like the idea that even though they're at this library that should have this book, the books that they keep coming into reference the book itself as like its sources. So I think what happens is that in this library, Ardell finds a few reference books on the Azathoth. So that is one item, or like some books that he finds. So he takes those, he puts them in his backpack, and says, "Well, that's nice and all, but we don't have time to read all this. It's too bad that we didn't find what we were looking for specifically in this library, but maybe we can find more information. We must be on the right track. Let's get out of this library and continue forward in exploring this Welcome to location." So, I'll be right back. People came home and I forgot to shut the door. Okay, so they are now in the ruined library hex of this place, and they've explored most of this little area. Now it's time for them to continue to journey over this mysterious site, and I'm just gonna roll a D3, 1, 2, and 3 here. I have a D3 here. I'm just gonna see which direction that they choose to go to, because there's no real, rhyme or reason. So 2. So they are gonna head south first. So I'm gonna label this as 0, and this is gonna be 1, and this will be 2. And this will tell us the progression of where they went and such. So 2, let us have them roll. And again, I think they're going to do wits. They're going to roll and keep vigilant for things. Ardell is going to take point on this. With a 2 and a 9 on the challenge die. Looks like it's most likely going to be a weak hit. With a 4 plus a 3, which is 7, so it's a weak hit. And on a weak hit, you reach the waypoint and mark progress, but this progress costs you. Okay, so we are going to mark progress, but we are also going to, it costs us. So they arrive here, and let's see, we can suffer something along the way or a peril at the waypoint. Let's do the peril at the waypoint. It's, whenever I come across this, the option of failing forward, meaning that there's a cost to this success, but you could do it on the way or when you arrive. Doing it on the way is fun sometimes as a narrative beat, and it's more like there's a hurdle before the next resting point or the next area, and then if you choose to face a peril at the waypoint, it's more about the action in the location. I like to think it like this, is that the journey, the suffer costs en route are kind of like a racing game, where you're trying to weave in and out of traffic, and you crash. And I'm talking about video games, by the way. And you lost your time and you damaged your car, so you have to fix it or something. Like there's something that happens along the way, but you know that you need to fix that car before you can get to where you need to go. And the facing a peril at the waypoint is more like you got in your car and you sped through everything and you got there, but when you arrived, something bad happened. And there's a different narrative reason to do either one. And I like to try to mix it up a bit. So right now I'm just going to use, they arrive at the waypoint and something is going to happen. So I'm going to first actually roll on the ruined table, to the location theme, the ruined table, which is here. There we go. So the ruined feature is going to be 72. Ooh, okay, so ruined. And I'm going to say, ooh, there is a memento of lost life. Well, that's kind of sad. And let us roll on the district for what kind of area it is. So I'm going to roll on that. It is going to be a 98, which is a research. So research. And let's go to research. And let's roll to see the area and feature. So we got a 35. Oh, a computer. So computer. And the feature is 14. Ooh, with biosamples. Okay. Computer with biosamples. Okay. So that actually, I think the ruined aspect of this area isn't going to provide the peril. I think the peril is going to probably come from the research tech buildings, or I think there might be like a large office building that is exposed to the sands of Vaarn here, and we can see tech pieces strewn out from probably scavengers or other creatures coming in and tearing the terminals from off the wall and out into the open. So there's obvious tech around, and I think the biosamples is going to be more of the biogrowth is coming out of a few of these buildings, and it's not just the blue sands of Vaarn that we're stepping on. There's like patches of various different colors of algae, or not algae, but like moss and kind of gross kind of grass and sticky substances that seem to be like oozing and stuff like that. So I think that is going to be the peril. And I don't know what that's going to be like. So I think this role here is a face danger, and I think they're still going to. They don't really know what the danger is, so they're going to still just. Yeah, it's very subtle actually, because it's like biosamples run amok that have overflown their petri dishes probably, or something like that, and have grown out of the lab and out into the streets over the millennia of its existence. So I think what we see is, as they come across this like collapsed section of this research portion of this, I'm probably going to say town or city a lot as opposed to settlement, because it's easier for me to say those words. But by no means does this feel like a town per se. But this research, this like ruined town area, with this building, I think there is a. It says memento of lost life, and I think Matala spots it in front of them, and this memento is an item of some sort, and I kind of want to roll on a table. In this book, there is a table that says "What you find in the sand," and it's a yeah, what you find in the sand. It's a D100 table of various interesting various things. So let's roll here. 83. A stick of chalk. Interesting. So I think so number 2 had a stick of chalk. And I'm going to just write it here. Actually, Matala's going to pick it up. Stick of chalk. Memento from Welcome to. Stick of chalk. I think she picks it up, and I think what it is it's a stick of chalk that has a piece of metal wrapped around one end with a lanyard, kind of like a chalk that a professor would use on a chalkboard, and next to it a kind of dashed into the sand a small sort of pad that has been worn thin and worn out, and it's kind of, if you've ever seen like a really worn down school teacher's chalk practice slates that they would hand out to kids in the early days of the United States education system. They were about this big or so, and the students would use those to practice various things with chalk. And so something like that. And Matala picks up the piece of chalk and says something along the lines of, "So many lives have lived and died here, no?" And Ardell goes, I'm sure. I'm sure many have, but there's no one here now." And I think on that note, on that "no one here now," I think Ardell steps in that sort of goopy, sort of biological stuff that has like a seafoam green kind of tinge to it, kind of pulsing with like purpley blue undertones, like a pearlescent look to it. And I think he's just going to, he's not attempting, but he's not reacting to an imminent threat. I believe that this peril is something that is going to happen to him. So I think this is more of a, like, does he notice this? So it's going to be a wits roll, and I'm just going to set this at, like, there's no challenge. It's versus the challenge die. And I feel like this is just a face danger roll. So with wits, because that's what all he's been doing is he's been looking around for various things, but he's not looking at this biomass stuff because it kind of blends in a bit with the dune stuff, because part of it's like actually covered up by the sands and stuff. So let us roll. Ooh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. A 1 plus 3 is 4. That's a miss. So on a miss, you fail and pay the price with a dire turn of events. So I think this peril is nasty stuff is going to attach itself to Ardell's ankle and his boots, and just start to kind of wrap itself around slowly. So I think that's not really going to affect anything right now. So I think I'm going to put up here in this little corner a clock. I'm just going to make a simple clock here. And I'm going to call this the ooze growth. And like whenever something happens to make that go forward, that will and I think when this fills up, for sure, I think that is when something might happen to Ardell himself. So yeah. So they continue on. Do they want to fully explore this hex? I think they do, because they see the research building, and they're just intrigued by all, like, what they're seeing here. So they're going to explore this particular waypoint as well. So I think that is, yeah, we go explore waypoint. And again, like, Ardell is taking the lead on most of this. Narratively speaking, I think Matala is kind of keeping her wits about herself, but following the lead of her traveling partner here, and wants to try to support what he wants to do. So Ardell is going to take the point here. All right, a 2 and a 7 on the challenge die, and a 2 plus 3 is going to be 5, so that's a weak hit. So again, explore the waypoint. On a weak hit, you uncover something interesting, but it is bound up in a peril or reveals an ominous aspect. Envision what you encounter, then take +1 momentum. Okay, so I think what they uncover is this is definitely going to go up, because they spent more time in the same area as this ooze growth stuff. I think they find there's a, just because I want this tech to be something interesting, they find parts and supplies that help with the fixing of the I keep forgetting what to call Ardell's his interface, right? His protocol bot interface that is on the side of his head. And And Matala is kind of like, this is her thing. Like, this is amazing. Let's continue to find some more pieces. So I think what she's going to do in this moment is that she's going to resupply using her scavenging skill here. So she's going to resupply herself. Resupply is wits, I believe. Resupply is scavenge and craft is wits, so +2 for that. +2 plus her scavenge, so +1. Oh no. Oh no. See, this is what keeps happening. She can never, every time that she wants to scavenge, she keeps failing horribly. Narratively speaking, it's interesting, but like mechanically, she should not fail this as often as she does. All right. On a miss, you encounter an unexpected peril. All right. We're going to pay the price for a couple of things, because as we've established here, while they were exploring this area, they discovered interesting things, which was the supplies needed. But I think what happens on this failure, on this complication, is, oh, I got it. I think the complication here is that they do find the supplies. So I will say that their supplies goes up by 1 for sure. That is acceptable, because that goes in line with something interesting, and the parts that she finds to work with Ardell's interface piece, they seem appropriate, but they are old and antiquated. And the peril, I think, is that this complication. Now, I could roll for this, but I think what I'm gonna roll for first is the pay the price on what the cost is of finding these supplies, and what happened on her resupply mission. 2, oh my god, a trusted individual or community acts against you. Matala can't seem to find, I think what all that means is that the being watched thing gets triggered, and another box gets filled. I will say this: when bad stacks upon bad in your gameplay sessions, just like how it is now, it's it's easy to get lost in the sauce of like which one to resolve and which one's more important. Like a community acts against her. The most obvious community for her is her previous community. So it seems like whatever's happening in the background, that is still important to them to search to find her. So that makes narrative sense that that's happening in the background. She doesn't know that this is a bad thing, but the pay the price in relation to the search, I think narratively maybe they spend a lot more time in this section of the city, which would explain why the ooze growth went up, and also her being watched a clock also went up. So narratively speaking, it makes sense that with time, these slow acting things went forward. So that is that. And I think with that complication, though, the complication with that 8, the story complication related to the supplies, I think, is that the supplies are gonna have that nanobot infestation once again, which is, again, it's everywhere. The sands of Vaarn, as a polite reminder, I read this from time to time, but nanomachines are inside everything, and it's normal to see wild animals with cameras growing out of their flesh, or humans with parasitic artificial limbs, and that is kind of what happened to Ardell here, and hence why he was exiled from his arcology named Vult, V-U-L-T. So I think I'm going to mark something special on the supplies on here on Matala's sheet, because she's going to hold those supplies. Supplies to fix Ardell bot may have a nanobot infection. So that is that complication. So because she's not applying those fixes to him yet, nothing's really going to happen, and she's just going to hold on to the supplies in her pouch and stuff, in her little tinker pouch, and they're going to move on. Okay, so that was them exploring this ruined research hex, and that was interesting. So let us roll a d6 and omit the 1 there. Omit the 1, 2. So they're going to go this way over here. So they're going to go like this. I'm going to do that. And this is going to be 3. And let us roll on their traversal of undertaking and surveying this mysterious site. 4 and 4, and a 4, which plus his 3 wits as they traverse vigilantly. That becomes a strong hit with a match, and a strong hit with a match. Strong hit, you reach a waypoint, you mark progress per the rank, so we get to add another progress on that, and we now have an opportunity here. And I think going with the theme of what they're doing here is, I think they're going to find something that is going to be helpful to this linguistics thing here, of which is going to bump up Ardell's momentum up to 10, which is awesome. And what is here? Okay, so we know that whatever is here is going to have something related to the books, the research books, and the Azathoth linguistics thing. So first off, I just want to roll on the ruined. Ruined. And let us roll on ruined. Location themed. Ruined. I love this system. This is my favorite system. Okay. Oh, I don't need to roll that. 55 on ruined. 55. So this is, overgrown or entombed. Overgrown or entombed. I'm going to say entombed. So, entombed by the sands. Yeah, entombed by the sands, right? And I'm gonna roll on the district to see sort of the the sort of what the next area is going to be like. What zone 48 is living. So probably some quarters and stuff like that. So let's roll on that. 9. So apartments. Okay, so we got apartments. Okay, so we got lots of apartments around here, and I would say the entombed by the sand. So maybe the apartments are mostly underneath the sand, and we have like maybe access to the roofs of these up these basically enshrined apartment complexes. Let us roll on a feature of the apartments of the apartments. 79. So features unusual art. Interesting. So unusual art. I'm gonna write just graffiti. And so the opportunity here, I know, is going to be something interesting about that book. And I've already done all the mechanical benefits and stuff, so I've already did all that. And I've filled this in as well as we've moved into here. The opportunity was to fill in the linguistics quest as well. And I think the reference books that he's reading, they take a moment to rest here. It's been probably most of the day as they've been traveling, throughout here. They sit down on top of what looks to be like an old rooftop of a building, but it comes right up to where they're walking, and there's a hatch, and Matala says, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna go see if I can't scavenge some material here," and off of that opportunity, she's going to successfully scavenge materials, and she's going to find in a random apartment another research book, or rather a book that has more information on Azathoth and languages and deciphering languages. It's like a code breaker book for things, and she brings it to Ardell, and says, "I think this might help you on your book quest, right?" And he looks at it and goes, "Oh, that's amazing." So he's going to add that, a code book for linguistics. So now he has like a code book for linguistics. He has a few other reference books on Azathoth, and he takes a deep breath and says, "Well, this was a much better day." And he's like, scraping at the stuff on his boots, but he's not really paying too much attention to it, since he's been walking through a bunch of muck and stuff all day, and the sand has actually sort of like attached itself to his boot, so his boots are just covered in blue sand, and he's kind of used to how that looks, so he doesn't really notice the fact that there's that ooze growth that is on his boot, slowly moving itself up and around his I wouldn't say armor, but his attire. So I think I'm going to end that session here, and let me know if you care about how this is zoomed in. I am acutely aware that it's zoomed in really far, so I might have things off of the camera zoom angle, which is why I preferred it to be zoomed out a little bit more, but I wanted it to be focused on this action here. So anyway, until next time, folks, I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.